ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, we're doing a very simple concept, okay? All you have to know is, technically, today, one rule, okay? This rule is, before I get to that rule though, the concept for today is called complex numbers, okay? Yeah, you thought I was going to give you the rule right away. Remember, the name of the concept is complex numbers. Like I said, today is a very simple concept. The rule you have to memorize or know for complex numbers is, today we're dealing with a variable, okay? A variable called I. Let me get a marker here. I is an imaginary number, okay? Meaning that it still exists. It's just what it's called because you have to have another equation for imaginary numbers, okay? We're not going to get that far today. All you have to know about imaginary numbers is when you have two i's, okay? Or I squared, okay? Let's start out with the first one. I equals a negative, okay? I equals negative. I squared equals -1, okay? It might look the same. It's not, okay? I means that whenever you're trying to get rid of a negative, move it to the other side or get rid of that negative, it becomes I. I square, it means that the whole thing, the I squared becomes -1. Okay, that's the difference between a negative and a -1. I means that it's a negative. Okay, I square is -1. You might say, what's the difference? All right, I'm going to do a few examples. One for the first one for the second one. Okay. Technically the same rule, that's why I said one rule, but some people might say it's two rules, it's okay. Anyways, let's get started on the concept for today. Let's start off with the first I, the one that was negative, okay? Notice that I have a radical of -48, okay? If I want to get rid of that negative, remember, all I have to do is turn it into an I, right? To get rid of that negative. Makes it a lot easier when you're doing nothing but positive numbers. So we're going to move the negative. We're going to bring it outside. When that happens, the negative becomes an I. So now we have I radical of 48. Okay? Now it makes it easier to break down because it's all positive. We're going to break down this 48. Remember, there's no perfect square root for 48. What we have to do is break it down as much as we can, okay? And look for groups. Notice that there's no number on the outside. That means that when there's no number on the outside of the radical, means that we're looking for pairs of twos. So let's see, two numbers that give us 48. We can say 12 times 4, right? Gives us 48, or 2 times 24. I tried to break down as much as I could already. Okay, if you would have went with 2 and 24, then you had to break down 24 even further. Okay, I did 12 and 4. Again, 12 can be broken down even further, and 2, a 3, and a 4. 4 can be broken down even further, right? But notice something here. Remember, we're looking for pairs of twos. Or not pairs of twos, but groups of the same that are to the same. Okay? We already have a group of 4s, don't we? So do we really need to break down the 4s? We don't, because we already have what we're looking for, a group of 4s. So we can have that group be taken out and becomes 1. Technically they merge together. they only become 1, so 1, 4. So that group becomes 1. So 4, don't forget the I. I, radical. Did we have anything left over? We did, right? We had a 3 left over. Think of it as like this. You had this party. You had leftover cake. The leftover was 3 pieces of cake. This is our refrigerator, the radical. Remember, overnight, we want to throw it into the refrigerator so it won't go bad. So, the 3 goes on the inside. The leftovers go on the inside. So we have 4i radical of 3. And that is our answer. So notice that I moved the negative to the outside. It became an I. Okay? That's the first rule. For the second one, we have negative 3i times 4i equals, notice that we have two numbers that have I. When you're multiplying two i's, you actually add them because it's I to the first and I to the first. Okay? So they're I to the first. So we have negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And then you have I1 plus I1, which is I squared. Okay? When a number or a variable doesn't have a little number on top, that means it's just a 1. Okay? When you're multiplying variables, all you have to do is add the exponents of those variables. That is a rule you're going to learn later on. Okay? This is just a little taste of what it is. So just keep in mind, 1 and 1 is 2. So now we have negative 12 times I squared. Do you guys remember what was the rule for I squared? It was negative 1, right? So we have negative 1. So can we say negative 12 times negative 1 is just positive 12? And that is our answer. Okay? So remember, I is negative and then I squared. Okay? Make sure you write down both examples. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. Okay? Let's get on over to your assignment. Your assignment for today is negative 5i minus 2i. Okay? That is the first one. Your second one is radical of negative 84. Keep in mind, I chose one of each. This way you have a little practice of the I square and then the I turned into a negative or negative into an I. Try to say. Make sure you're sending me your answers as soon as you're done watching the video, and I'll be waiting for your email.